This primetime lineup is brought to you by IT&E. Explore your world. KUAM TV 8, your home for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Matson celebrating the 75th liberation with the people of Guam. Biba Guam. Cars Plus, reminding you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads Up Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And steaks, ribs, seafood, and our famous fresh garden bar, Ruby Tuesday. Good times you can taste.
Coming up on Primetime, police need your help locating a man wanted for questioning in relation to a fatal shooting in Jigo. Plus, the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals issues a ruling in the Dave Davis case. And today was day 1 of the annual Contra y Peligro exercise.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Chris Barnett. The Guam Police Department reaching out to the community in their search for a man wanted for questioning in connection to Sunday's fatal shooting in Jigo. Our Adriana Cotero has more on this story.
He's considered armed and dangerous. Police are asking for your help to locate Thomas Mark Mendiola Taitano, a.k.a. Masi Taitano. GPD's criminal detectives want to question him about Sunday's shooting in Jigo, along Chalantun Fred Cabeza that left Keith Castro dead. Police last saw Taitano here on Monday night along Chalan Evangelista and Jigo. He is described as standing 5'7" in height, medium black hair, brown eyes, and weighs around 190 pounds. He has a tribal tattoo on his right forearm and a tattoo on his left forearm. KUAM News has learned that Taitano also has an active parole warrant. In 2014, he was confined at the Department of Corrections for aggravated assault, arson, assault, family violence, criminal mischief, fraudulent use of a license plate, leaving the scene of an accident, and reckless driving. He was released from DEP court in July of 2017 and placed on parole for 3 years. KUAM has learned, however, that Taitano hasn't checked in since 2018. If you see Taitano, you are advised not to approach him and instead immediately call GPD dispatch at 472-8911 or 475-8615-7 or call the nearest police precinct. As for the shooting victim, Castro is active on Facebook. His most recent Facebook live stream received 9,000 views. One of his latest posts was Saturday morning, during which he said he wasn't a snitch, mentioned police corruption, and called for peace. Police in the meantime haven't released any further details about their investigation. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
And in other news, Guam's political status plebiscite violates Dave Davis's 15th Amendment rights. That's the gist of a 9th Circuit Court of Appeals ruling handed down in the controversial Arnold Dave Davis versus the Guam Election Commission case. Here's more in this report. We hold that Guam's limitation on the right to vote in its political status plebiscite to native inhabitants of Guam violates the 15th Amendment and so affirm the district court's summary judgment order. That from 9th Circuit Judge Marcia Berzon, concluding in her 41-page opinion to affirm District Court Chief Justice Francis Tyrinko Gatewood's March 2018 decision striking down Guam's native inhabitant plebiscite law. Attorney Julian Uggan argued Guam's case before the appeals court. Davis filing suit in 2011 after he was denied registration for the plebiscite. Davis sued challenging the 2000 Guam plebiscite law, saying it was unconstitutional. The 9th Circuit opinion further reads that Congress has provided that the 15th Amendment shall have the same force and effect in Guam as in the United States. And while Uggan argued that the 15th Amendment did not apply to the plebiscite because the vote did not decide a public issue, Berzon and the panel of judges disagreed. Any suggestion that the 15th Amendment be read restrictively should be viewed with skepticism. The right to vote is foundational in our democratic system, Berzon wrote. Uggan had argued that the native inhabitants designation was a political classification, not a racial one. Berzon further opined that the 2000 plebiscite law, which replaced the word Chamorro used in previous self-determination statutes with native inhabitants of Guam, showed the Guam legislature's intent was to apply cosmetic changes rather than substantively alter the voting restrictions for the plebiscite. Meanwhile, one of Davis's lawyers, J. Christian Adams, said Guam cannot conduct the plebiscite, period, and it's time to resolve these issues with broad consensus that respects the 15th Amendment instead. As you may recall, Justice Tydinko Gatewood in April had ruled that GovGuam must pay nearly $1 million to cover Davis's legal fees. Now it's not clear if that amount has increased with this latest hearing. Disheartened, dejected, frustrated. That's how people are feeling in the wake of the Ninth Circuit ruling against the self-determination plebiscite. And that's according to the head of Guam's decolonization effort. More now in this story.
I was pretty disheartened this morning when I met with the LT, and he kind of smiled at me and told me not to be so dejected, you know, that he believes that this is a good thing. He believes that this might just be the thing that shakes our community awake. You know, and you know what, I respect that. I really do appreciate that, because I think that that's very true. I think that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to take a look at this and say to themselves, this is wrong. This is morally wrong, and we're not going to stand by this. Executive Director of the Commission on Decolonization, Melvin Wampat Borja, shares his thoughts on the Davis case ruling with KUAM News. Wampat Borja says while the commission will not be registering Native inhabitants for the plebiscite, it will keep moving forward with its education campaign for political status options, a self-determination study, and a decolonization conference in September. Ironically, all three of these funded with money from the federal government through the Department of Interior. We asked Wampat Borja to respond to Davis lawyer J. Christian Adams' comments that Guam cannot conduct the self-determination vote unless it resolves issues with the 15th Amendment. That's what Davis's team was hired to say. We don't expect them to have a different stance on it. I mean, their whole purpose was to, kill this plebiscite from the onset. I think that the important thing now is our desire to keep the conversation alive. Wampat Borja also praising attorney Julian Uggan for his efforts in arguing the case before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We are proud of Julian's effort. I can't think of anyone who could have represented us better. He was really brilliant in the way that he portrayed the argument, in the way that he broke down the argument against us, and the way that he championed our right to have a voice. We asked Guam's decolonization head how he would respond to those who say after 2 losses and having to pay $1 million in Davis's legal fees, enough is enough. Decolonization that has to follow the rules of our oppressor is not decolonization, it's just recolonization. Acting Governor Joshua Tenorio, meanwhile, in a release on the Davis case, said, "We are disappointed with the Ninth Circuit's ruling. We will confer with the Attorney General and the Guam legislature to discuss Guam's options moving forward." Well, Secretary of Veterans Affairs Robert Wilkie made a brief stopover on Guam today. He visited various veterans facilities and listened to local vets talk about the challenges of getting help in the distant Western Pacific. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Secretary Wilkie made this stopover after attending Monday's inauguration in Pohnpei of new FSM President David Panuelo. While here, the Secretary laid a wreath at the Asan Bay overlook of the War in the Pacific National Park, and then on to Adelup, where he also met with local veterans groups to discuss a variety of issues.
Well, the takeaway is that we are listening. We are addressing the challenges in the Pacific. They're special, and we have the support of the President to make sure that we are fully funded, and it's our job to get the resources out to the Pacific to address the needs of those who serve in greater numbers than any other group in America. That's why I'm here. I'm off to Saipan, I'm going to Samoa. I just came from Micronesia. It's my focus, and I have the full support of the President.
Reaction from veterans, including Guam Veterans Affairs Director Fred Bardalio, was mostly positive.
It is an opportunity for a lot of the veterans, as you can see, that came here and attended this listening session, for them to voice some of their concerns about some of the issues of and what their needs are. And I'm sure Secretary Wilkie and his staff and his team here took a lot of notes and are going to take action on some of the stuff of the concerns of the veterans.
Well, the biggest concern, like with myself, is the Mission Act and how it's going to affect the veterans in Guam getting health care. He has the ear of the President, and he has the ear of the Congress and the Senate, and I have faith that he will hopefully be able to get some of the things amended to make them easier.
Very impressive. I think he is genuinely concerned with veterans issues. I look forward to hearing back from a lot of his offices for different questions we have here on Guam, because it's been a fight, and we've been keep up the fight, because the veteran care on this island can be a lot better.
You know, we've been visited so many times by so many different officials from the VA, and my feeling is I think they're just here to try to appease us.
It was Wilkie's first visit to Guam as VA Secretary. He was confirmed for the position just over a year ago. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Now, joining VA Secretary Wilkie is Office of Insular Affairs Director Nicolau Pula. According to Adelup, Pula pledged to provide grant money to fund a structural assessment of the Guam Memorial Hospital that will be conducted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio says once that assessment is complete, it will allow Gov Guam to move forward with the modernizing of the 60-year-old facility. Well, social media drama as Congressman Mike Nicholas tangles with environmental advocacy group Pertay Lategzan. Now, the group posted on Instagram citing the delegates' legislative track record in support of the military buildup and firing range construction, despite what Pertay Lategzan says is resounding community concerns. They also urged San Nicolas to become familiar with Department of Defense documents laying out the economic and environmental effects of the buildup so that, quote, through unity of our elected leaders, the island can move forward in a positive direction. San Nicolas, in a comment that was deleted minutes after it was posted, responded by saying, quote, if you think you're going to be successful in protecting the island by attacking me, then good luck with that. Pertay Lategzan members screenshotted the comment and posted it on their Instagram account, saying San Nicolas considered the group's, quote, valid concerns as an attack, adding that San Nicolas has a history of deleting comments and blocking members of the community on social media who respectfully disagree with him. Pertay Lategzan tells KUAM News they've requested a meeting with San Nicolas, and the group tells KUAM the delegate has responded favorably so far. Well, the Guam Fire Department Rescue received a call of a distressed swimmer at the Agatna Marina on Monday evening around 9:17. According to GFD spokesperson Kevin Riley, Rescue 2 responded to a report from bystanders at the marina. They informed GFD that they heard a splash followed by a cry for help.
Area, the general area, we were able to launch our boats immediately, and within 2 minutes located the victim, unfortunately lying face down in the water inside the channel. We deployed our rescue swimmer who made contact with the individual and was able to determine that it was a female and pulseless and breathless.
CPR was conducted immediately at the scene and en route to the Naval Hospital, Guam and Agatna Heights. Riley says the current condition of the victim is unknown. Well, the latest with drug defendant Dexter Long. He's written another letter asking that he be allowed to enter a guilty plea. Now, his previous attempts to do so were rejected by Magistrates Judge Joaquin Manabusan, Long writes. Long indicted in May for attempting to bring in almost 1,000 gross grams of the drug ice. Now, in his letter to Chief Judge Francis Tidinko Gatewood, Long is asking for her to help him enter an intelligent guilty plea and not waste the court's time and taxpayers' resources. Now, aside from trying to plead guilty, he has been having problems keeping an attorney as well, as previous court-appointed attorneys have asked to withdraw due to conflicts. Now, his next court appearance is scheduled for August 5th. Day one of the KIP-19 exercise started today, and Julius Santos takes us to the heart of the action in this next segment.
Counter the threat. In line with the lyrics of Guam's hymn and at the core of the mission of the Contra y Peligro exercise began today for Guam's multi-agency response teams. KIP-19 is a series of simulated threats, including chemical and biological scenarios, that test the capabilities of emergency response teams. Today's scenarios consisted of chemical release, active shooter and suspicious package, car bombing, and HSC-25 strike team insertions and medvac to Naval Hospital. As part of the exercise, you can expect heightened emergency response activity throughout the island, including loud explosions, horns, sirens, and helicopter flight. This morning, the Dededo Sports Complex was the scene of a chemical release and car bombing that required a helicopter strike team insertion, and a medvac operation was conducted at Nimitz Beach. The Superior Court and District Court were both settings for an active shooter attack. Gunfire and small explosions could be heard as the exercise participants sprang into action, using their tactical prowess to subdue the threat and secure the area. All of the simulated events are being closely monitored and controlled to ensure the safety of the public and allows the KIP designers to test and evaluate accurately the local, federal, and military response teams. A joint news release from the Office of the Governor, Guam Army National Guard, and Guam Homeland Security reminds the community not to be alarmed if sirens, explosions, and other sounds indicative of an emergency are heard. The exercise continues tomorrow. For Guam's News Network, I'm Julius Santos.
And to watch some prep for the chemical release and car bombing, you can catch a clip from this morning's group chat with Chris Barnett on KUAM News Extra immediately following the newscast. Well, stick around for more news here on Prime Time. You're watching KUAM.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.